All right. So welcome back to another episode of Father Figures. I've got a good buddy of mine, Karl Yentz. He owns a chiropractic business.
Yep.
He's a dad of two
For now.
dogs at home,
Two dogs.
an awesome wife. She's pretty great.
She does it all, yeah.
So wanted to bring Karl on here. I wanted him to talk a little bit about obviously running the business. He's a great family man, similar to me.
Kind words.
Yeah, I gotta be kind. Similar to me though, heavy in the outdoors, love to get out in nature, do fun stuff. So let's tie all that together. Give us a little rundown of who Karl is.
Yeah. So we opened our practice 2016, so 7.5 years ago or so. At the time, it was just me, Jenna, and Willow, one of our dogs.
In the office?
Willow came to the office for like the first 2 years.
That's awesome.
Until we, got big enough where it was just too much of a hassle. But
yeah.
So me, Willow, Jenna, then we added in Maple, our other lab. Yep. She's a little crazy, so she never made it to the office. And then kids have been rocking and rolling ever since. Just kind of going with the flow. When we first opened the clinic, so Jenna is a teacher by trade, and then we went after I graduated chiro school, we went down to Naples, Florida, and I did a residency type program for a year. And she kind of sat through on that and helped her on that more on the business side, which was great. So that way when we opened the clinic, she was able to, instead of teach, she was able to help me out with the business, which was a huge help.
She was helping get the business prepped while you were still...
And a little bit more so learning like the ins and outs and, all the fun stuff that comes along with, business ownership.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. So then moved back here. First opening the practice, when we first opened, it was just all work.
Mm-hmm.
Both of us between, getting new patients and doing talks and spinal screenings and getting out in the community, even on the weekends. So I would say the first year and a half was like that.
Mm-hmm.
I slept at the office for the first couple of months, couple of times.
Yeah.
Overnight, marking x-rays, doing all that stuff. And then, slowly but surely we've added on a team. We've now had a team of 10, which is awesome.
Yep.
So we've added on a team, and, that has now provided me the freedom to, take a little time out of the office, which is nice, and kind of set my own schedule. And that's been great.
Yeah. Well, it's a well-oiled machine when you go into your office.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
You get in, you get what you need done, and then you get back out. It doesn't take 45 minutes or an hour to have to go to an appointment and deal with it. It's very nice and quick.
Yeah.
So when you were building the business, you didn't have kids yet.
Correct.
Right? So it was just you and Jenna.
Yeah.
What was all that like? When did you get married in between that too? So obviously business started right when you guys graduated. Then you guys got married.
We actually got married in 2015 summer, right before we moved to Florida.
Okay.
That was kind of strategic. I had 3 months off between graduating school and going down to Florida. Okay. So married, honeymoon, all that fun stuff. And then from end of 2016 until Rose was born February 1st of 21.
Okay.
So we had a good, nearly, 4 or 5 years of laying the groundwork. And that was strategic. We had friends that did it both ways. We had friends that had already had kids when they opened their clinic.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were, young enough to, kind of hold off on that. Not that we didn't want kids, but, we knew we wanted to have like a solid foundation, so that way we had, the time and the freedom to, do what we wanted to do, and Jenna could stay home with the kids if she wanted to.
Yeah.
So really set ourselves up that way. Mm-hmm. Not that you can't do it both ways, because actually most people do it the other way.
Yeah.
Most people are like, it just happens. You have a kid, or they're not waiting, which is totally fine, or they're at that age where they got to get started with kids.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to, start early with school and all that good jazz and get through it. And then, so we kind of grew the business first.
Yeah.
And strategically knowing that, kids are going to be coming and we want to be, it was a motivating factor for both of us to grow because we knew, hey, we're going to have kids soon. Doing this, week in and week out with the amount of work that we were putting in at the beginning would have been extremely challenging with kids for sure.
Yeah. Well, and did you guys know, because when you go through school, you can either then go and work for someone or you can start your own practice.
Correct.
You knew like right away, like we're going to start our own practice, so we got to put in all this hard work.
Yeah.
Early. Right?
Yep. I remember. I actually went to like a talk. Cairo came in and spoke to us like 10th quarter. So this is like a year before you graduate.
Okay.
And he kind of laid out the 3 pathways of what you can do, whether that's go and work for somebody and be an associate. You can be an independent contractor where you work in somebody's clinic and kind of use their staff and stuff like that. Or you can just go open your own. I always wanted to just open my own clinic from the get-go. So I knew that's what I wanted to do.
See, that's super helpful. So like Julie and I, we started down a path of working for someone else, had kids, and then shifted.
Mm-hmm.
So I always look back and like it would have been so nice being able to put in all of this work and not like, it sounds bad, but like not have kids so that we didn't have to feel like guilty about grinding and putting in the work.
Yeah.
And it's different. Like when you know exactly what you're going to do, but pivoting too, like we did, I felt it was more challenging.
Oh, for sure. The one thing that I'll say is it's different. There's the guilt, but then there's also the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, Jenna just said the other day, she was like, oh yeah, I'm going to, congratulate myself for making it through. Bodhi's almost 1 now.
Yeah.
Our second kid, Bodhi's almost 1. So, congratulate myself for making it through a full year of sleep deprivation. And it's the real deal. Both of our kids are bad sleepers.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, up all night, every night. So just getting through that, both of you. So luckily, I'll say Jenna takes the brunt of it for sure.
Yeah.
If I got to work the next day and put in a full day, she's going to be up with the kids all night.
Yeah.
Or not, I shouldn't say all night, but Bodhi's doing like 3 to 4 wake ups a night still, which is rough.
Dang it, kid.
Yeah. So that on top of the guilt, is tough.
How are you guys like from a obviously the you guys are both involved in the practice, but you're actually physically there doing the work on people. How are you guys balancing the kids and the nighttime stuff and the routines like when you're off work?
Mm-hmm. So luckily I've got a pretty easy schedule now. Yeah. Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, usually I leave the house at sometimes 5:30 a.m. and go to the gym and that type of stuff, and then get home at 6:30. So I get home at 6:30. We eat dinner quick, and then it's bath time and bedtime. Mm-hmm. So I luckily get to help out with that as long as I'm home early enough. Yeah. And then Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's I like to hang out with them, obviously. Yeah. So it's like I try to do as much as I can at that time. Yeah. It's not. We don't have like a hey, this is your thing to do, and this is your. Mine is like mowing the lawn and that type of stuff. So I like to mow the lawn. I enjoy it. Yep. Toss on a podcast. But we don't have we just kind of go with the flow. Yeah, it's not like super strict, and that's kind of how I was in terms of like parenting as well. So some people are like book readers, or like listen to podcasts, and like when they're about to have their first kid. Yeah, I'm not that way. Figure it out. So to me, it was just like, let's just figure this out. Yeah, make it happen. Jenna did. She definitely did. Yeah. But for me, it was like, I'm just gonna go and then I just listen to Jenna. She tells me what to do, which is perfect.
I was the same way. I don't think I think the only book that Julie read was a potty training book. Sure. And that helps with potty training stuff. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, like from what you get from your parents and what your spouse gets from her parents, and then you obviously that all changes too, right? Like for sure. The things that you were raised doing are not necessarily the things that you want to instill in your kids. But work ethic is probably one. I would say that probably has been pretty big in your family, right? Yeah. Just work ethic. What was that like with you growing up? Yeah. With parents working and stuff.
It was, I can recall, I'm like big into positive affirmations,
Yep.
optimism, good energy, that type of stuff. And
Mhm.
as a kid, I remember at one point my dad was into that stuff as well. He owned a business. He was a dentist.
Mhm.
He had 3 practices, and kind of instilling that, not just praising the win, but praising like the work ethic.
Yeah.
So doing the same thing with our kids, or trying to,
Yeah.
like, great, you did a great job. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you worked really hard on that. I
Yeah.
think that's important.
Yeah. The difference between telling them like, hey, you worked really hard on it, and being like, well, you came up short or something like that, but the effort that gets put in, I think, is so important too.
Yeah.
For Jenna, was that similar with her too? Is that something both of you guys kind of had? And like,
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
We're both blessed with great parents, and came from really good families, and it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys stuck it out through growing the business. Marriage wise, how was the marriage during all that time? Did you guys spend enough time
It was tough.
on
Definitely.
the marriage, or just like in it growing business?
I would say that was by far the toughest part.
Okay.
Because it's 10 p.m. in bed having conversations about work.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely had to set some boundaries, which still get crossed.
Yep.
It just happens.
Yep.
Less so now because she's not in the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I have coaches now that I can, use as a sounding board and text and call and things like that versus, complaining to Jenna or, bouncing ideas off of Jenna and that type of stuff. So, but at the beginning, for sure, I would say that was, with both of us working full time in the practice, that was like the toughest learning curve.
Yeah.
It came to a point though where I want to say it was perfect timing. So the practice was at the point where it was starting to run itself. We had a good bit of team, and that's right when Jenna got pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when she stepped out of the practice in terms of the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. That's
and
good.
It was something that was actually needed, for us to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were both, she says, and this is true, I'm the visionary, and she does like, the processes and procedures, like she's the implementer.
Yep.
Like by far, I cannot do that stuff, but I can do the vision stuff, which is great. So, and we still do that, which is really, really nice. This next phase of practice that we're going into, now that Bodhi's 1, Rose is 3, we've got some help at home, so we have a nanny a couple days a week, which is great. Typically she's just, doing a couple hours, 1 to 2, 3 hours a week of work. She's, we're getting into that point where it's going to be more of a team driven practice and less of me just grinding it out. Yeah. So, still vision portion and me doing some work, but, her implementing it is going to be extremely important. So it's almost taking a full kind of circle. Yeah. Which is good.
And you said she's going to spend a couple of hours a week kind of
she
helping
does
with that?
Yeah, typically she does, a couple hours a week. So we have an office manager, which is great. She's like the best.
Yep.
Great team, really good team. Jenna kind of just oversees that stuff. Yeah. She oversees that stuff. And, when things need to be changed and need to be implemented, she is the go-to for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges do you guys see with that?
Meaning,
like with the next phase?
Me letting go of control.
Okay.
That's really I'm like, my default is to, because the way that we grew the practice was like hard work, putting in the time and putting in the hours. And it's like, the year that we practiced in Naples, it was probably 80 to, between working in the clinic and then doing outside talks and spinal screenings, it was 80 plus hours a week straight. Yeah. For a year. Like I screened on Christmas Day. Like I remember my folks came down for Christmas. Yeah. And I was out screening, like doing spinal screening. So, jeez. However, like did that suck? Yeah. But that's what got us to the certain level that we're at. And so that's always my default is like, hey, if we want to grow, my default is like, I just need to work a little bit harder, when in reality, the phase of business that we're at right now, it's not sustainable. Not that it can't be done, but if you wanted, or if I want to, take it to the next level, I need help and I need to utilize my team. Like, who am I to say that I'm better than my team? I'm definitely not.
Yeah.
And so utilizing their strengths.
Yep.
I just need to let go of control and let them do their thing, but also equip them with the right tools to do that.
Yeah.
With the things that I've learned in the past 6-7 years, 8 years of practice, and equipping them to do that. So that's where our next phase of life and phase of practice is. Yeah. I think it's super exciting. It's definitely going to be. I told Jen, I'm like, I need you. I need your help in this phase, because the reality is like I am not a great trainer. I'm more so like visionary. I like to talk through scenarios and things like that, but actually getting down to like the nuts and bolts of training, she can handle that way better than I can. Yeah. Know your strengths 100%. By far. Yeah. Like, if I was trying to tell you how to do something, like instead of training you, I would just be like, hey, this is how we do it. Yeah, watch me do this. This is how we do it. Okay, you're good to go. Yeah. And then it's like, no, that's really not how it's done. Yeah. We don't rise to the level of our talents. We fall to the level of our training. Yep. And I need to get better at that. And so having her is going to be a total game changer. Yeah. And now is the time to do it before we have the next kid. Super interesting. Like and it's good that you know this. Like you have to be able to let go of some of the control. How do you feel you're doing in that area with kids? Of letting go of some of the control when the kids are climbing up the sides of couches or messing around by a fireplace. That's a good question. How's that been for you? Because I'm terrible at it. I'm trying to get better. I would say that I'm okay at it. Okay. I definitely so Jenna's big on verbiage and things that you say. Like I don't know where she learns it all. Probably the socials. I don't know either. The interwebs, but I'm okay at it. Yeah, I'm okay at it. I think that it's like I grew up lucky where it was like you go for it, you learn. It wasn't super. I could do kind of what I wanted to do as a kid and that type of stuff. And so that's I would say that's kind of more so how I parent. Okay. There's definitely boundaries and things like that, but and it's learning. Like I'm You've never been a parent before. That's what I always tell Sawyer too. I'm like, he's like, oh, I didn't like that or whatever it is. It's like, buddy, you need to help me out. I've never done this before. Like I've never had a kid before that's doing what you're doing. So you're doing it too is my first time as well. Let's try to figure this out. I usually, good, bad, or indifferent, I usually just default to Jenna. Yeah. And I think at times it definitely puts her in a tougher spot because it's like good cop, bad cop. Yep. I'm always the good cop. It's like I'm rarely the and Rose is only 3, so it's not it's more so around like I want to watch a show, like I want to watch a show. Yeah. And Jen's like, no, we don't watch shows. Meanwhile, I'm like, we don't watch shows. Or what she said. What do you want for breakfast this morning? It's like I make her a smoothie. So that's part of my morning routine. Wake up, I make the whole family smoothies. Yep. Bodie eats protein smoothies every morning too, which is great. So she has her smoothie, but then this morning she was like, I want a bar and an applesauce. And Mom's like, nope, we only have those in the car. Yeah. And she was just throwing a fit, So I'm like, okay, well, it's like I'm handling this, so I'm gonna have a bar and I'll share it. So, whatever, Just learning. It's so hard. Like trouble in those situations. Yeah, but we're all learning and trying to figure it out. That's the difference. And you can think it's wrong in some way, shape, or form. It's like you're never going to be a perfect parent in every situation. Yeah. But it's also, and I've talked about this in other ones, it's such a responsibility that you have to raise kids to be contributing members of society and not detractors from society. Totally. Yeah. And all of those little things that like you guys are doing to instill like healthy eating habits, respect for people,
You guys are always extremely respectful of people.
Yep.
When you're talking with people, meeting with people, like you said, optimism,
Yep.
smiling face, like jolly is just a good word to represent it.
Yeah.
What do you guys do for the kids? Like, is there any special things that the Yentzes do in their household that's like, this is our thing that we try to instill in kids, like value wise?
I think it's all just. I mean, I think it's just leading by example. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
Kids, especially at the young age that our kids are,
Mm-hmm.
total sponges.
Yep.
Like total sponges.
Mm-hmm.
So Jenna takes Rose to the gym typically in the mornings, or I'm going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Rose is going along, and she's going to try to work out.
Yep.
She's 3 years old. She knows how to do a burpee probably better than most people listening. It's like she can do it, and she's only 3. So that type of stuff, and eating healthy, and kind of instilling those values just by habit.
Yeah.
Because it's just who we are and what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more so leading by example than anything, specific.
Yeah.
That we do.
That's one thing that I admire most about you guys and your clinic is how health driven it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like a fix it type thing, like we're gonna band-aid something.
Yep.
It's a lot more in depth. In depth part is where you start creating, kids that are contributing to society.
Totally.
Right? It's talk the talk versus walk the walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think you definitely got to walk the walk. What are you doing to work on yourself every day?
Mm-hmm.
You look at anybody who is, successful, whether that's financially successful, health, marriage, whatever it is, you're putting in a lot of effort into yourself.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say effort. Effort. You're putting in a lot of time into yourself and trying to build those healthy habits and be the type of person that be the role model for your kids.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing. Or for your patients. For me, it's like, for my patients, if I'm, being a dink and eating like crap and, whatever, how am I supposed to expect my patients to follow me? Yeah. And it's the same thing with kids, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they see all that and they know, they're eating out of the same refrigerator and pantry that you are.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's important.
That has been one thing, and it was such good time. I can't remember. It's probably been 3 years since I started seeing you guys.
Yeah,
maybe 4. I think it was right in 2020.
Yep,
that I started seeing.
I think you're right.
And it was such good timing though too, because with our health journey and our change too, like all the stuff that we've been able to instill in Sawyer as well has just come from being around people who are healthier, conscious about these things, even subliminally. Like you'll listen to a podcast and someone's talking about something in a food item. Yeah, it's like, should I be giving that to my kid? Because I know for Sawyer, with different foods that he eats, he's a different kid. Oh yeah. Depending on the food he eats, like if he rarely gets a junk food, like he's at a party, or school gives him something with red in it. Yep. Lights out, he's something else.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't remember where we heard about it and learned about it, but it's been years, and we saw such a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And we were always pretty health conscious, but then we start diving down a little more granular. Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, it's like, if we want him to live a very healthy, happy life, we have to be doing the same. Like, totally. I can't be skipping the vegetables on my plate and being like, Sawyer, eat your veggies.
Yeah. I think it's...
So the lead by example is huge.
Totally. And luckily, we, have been doing that for 10 years. So by the time that we had kids, it was just normal for us. It wasn't, it's hard to change. It's definitely hard to change for people who, let's just use eating as an example, but like who don't eat healthy. It's hard to change those habits, but luckily we had that built and had those values from the for the past 10 years. So by the time the kids are born, Rose has had actual sugar maybe like 3 times in her life. Yeah. She's 3 years old. Yeah. Not because we're like, it's just she's not around it a lot. She knows like it's whatever. She's happy with the desserts that we make her that are not full of garbage. Yep. And they're great for her. She loves it. Yeah. It's so funny.
there's a lot of sugar and fruits and stuff like that, but I always look at it, it's like, that's God's sugar.
That's good stuff.
Like, that's God's sugar,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, flavoring stuff with dates and, things like that, and organic, just simple ingredient things make such a huge difference. It's so good that you guys were doing that so long ago. I was actually just talking to Julie about this I think last night I was just talking to her about it. And I'm like, where would we have been like 10 years ago? So we're coming up on our 11th wedding anniversary.
Nice.
And like, I was a very poor eater.
Mm-hmm.
I was always in shape.
Yep.
And it could have, and thankfully maybe just like the genes kept me from getting like overweight.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
Like I never paid attention to what I ate.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I lucked out with then having kids, and I'm still able to be in shape. And obviously we've changed our ways huge over the last 5+ years. But if you get too far down the unhealthy road, and then you have kids and you want to start bringing it back, it's hard to try and reel it back in. But
very tough.
It's never too late.
Agree. Totally. You can definitely make a change.
But that's where putting yourself around good people, and just like your kids are watching you, you're watching other people too. So you're hanging around people who are, not motivating, right? They're slacking in business too, or they're not the best parents. Like, in your eyes, like you have to do what's right for you guys.
Totally. And a lot of it comes down to what you're consuming too. It's like doing a lot of this, doing a lot of scrolling, versus out in the nature.
Yep.
Out in the nature stuff.
Yeah.
Golfing, hunting, skiing.
Yep.
Away from the screens.
Yeah.
But you were talking about being a contributing member of society. I think that it's important to be, there's too much of this and too much of consuming and not enough of creating.
Yeah.
Like the creative thoughts and you see it in kids too. The creative thought and imagination is I think on the decline due to too much. It's all consumer mentality.
Yeah. I mean, who was I just talking to? A client of mine. She's a teacher as well, and she's a first grade teacher, and she was talking about the attention span of kids in her class, and she's like, it is so sad to see how quickly they lose interest in something.
Oh yeah,
if it's not a screen.
Yep.
And granted, so Sawyer's in first grade. He's 7, so he was 3 during COVID, when the world shut down and we're all trying to work and do stuff with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And so now those kids are first grade, second grade, kindergarten. They're like right in that time. Before that, there probably wasn't too much of like a notice. Like,
sure,
a 1-year-old's not doing too much, a 2-year-old's not doing too much. Like 3, he was not able to really do anything.
Yeah.
He's really like getting into his voice and all that stuff. And
sure.
And she was saying, she's like, it hasn't stopped with the technology. It's just continually getting worse.
Oh yeah, still is. Adults are just as bad. It's like adults are just as bad.
Oh, I know. I find myself scrolling through things too, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop! Like,
gotta delete the socials. I think that that's another thing when it comes to business and parenting.
Yep,
both of them. Being present and being able to recognize when that type of stuff gets a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
I know for me, I just had this conversation with Jenna last night. So for probably like 6 months, I had nothing on my phone, like no socials, none of that stuff. And I re-downloaded it because I like joined this class thing or however that I needed access through Facebook to do. So that was like the gateway drug, right? So now I had all the apps on my phone. I'm like, why? Prior to this, I was listening to great stuff, like good books, listen to some really good chiro talks from some of my mentors, and like, really focused on the things that mattered.
Yep.
And I'm like, why am I feel
good chiro talks? All right.
That stuff. There's some great ones. I'll send them to you.
Chiropractors will love them.
Yeah. I was like, why do I feel weird? I felt like off.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not present.
Yep.
I'm like, I know exactly why. For the past month or whatever, 3-4 weeks, I've had socials on my phone.
Yeah.
And I just have been consuming endless garbage that's just taking up crap in your brain. Yeah. And it affects your business and it affects your family. I mean, I know personally, I notice a huge difference. in practice and in my family life when it's like
Mhm.
my focus is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that that's a terrible thing,
Yeah.
but being able to recognize it, because everybody's
Taking control of it
Yeah, you got to
and being
recognize it.
purposeful. Like, if I'm going to scroll, just know that, okay, this hour is yours to scroll.
Yeah.
But after that, and just know that's okay for that time.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, the kids can watch the iPad for a little bit, but it's this time. They can watch
Mhm.
TV for this time.
Mhm.
But it can't all of a sudden be 11:30 at night. And like, oh my god.
Yeah, or doing it with your kids when your kids
Yeah.
are there. It's like you're trying to be present with your family, and it's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
that's not
I'm
great.
guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that, and that's one thing that we are trying to be more and more present with, and we'll still find ourselves, and we know better.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
I know. But you can only Jenna's said what she does is she like deletes it throughout the day.
Mm.
She's like, I delete it all day long so that way I can be present with the kids, and then
Mhm.
at night I'll re-download it. So you're like deleting it and
Yeah.
re-downloading it every night. But that's what works for her, so fine.
Yep.
There's like security limits you can set on your phone.
Yep.
That definitely does not work. You can
So
bypass those things.
No, I had Julie set mine for an hour, and she has the passcode.
Oh.
So I didn't know the passcode.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But then hunting season came around. I'm like, I need more than I'm sitting in the deer stand.
Yeah, like
from
6 hours.
7 to 7.
Yeah.
1 hour's not going to do it because there's nothing else for me.
I agree with that. However, there is. I mean, you just sit and enjoy the creation, right?
I do that.
Yeah.
I do that. But it's
something to be said about that. That's actually interesting because I was just thinking about golfing season coming up and managing that in business. So for me, I last year and even the years prior could not for the life of me play golf throughout the week, like during the week, out of guilt. So like I couldn't go play golf because I was like too guilty that I wasn't hanging out with family or mainly working on my business or on my practice.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
It's like family time for me is weekends. I definitely want to be able to play golf and because it's something that I enjoy.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, this is my new key. I'm going to walk and either listen to nothing or like have something on that I like to listen to and use it as like a creative thought time.
Yeah.
It's like going out and just going out for a walk or going out for a run is the time for me where I'm like,
it's like therapy. Yeah.
My brain is going, man.
Yep.
Like that's where I come up with my best ideas.
Yeah.
Like my best inspiration for myself.
Yep. That's awesome.
I'm gonna try it. I'll let you know how it goes. Try the golf and create.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like the feeling of guilt for going out and doing something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll walk and you'll use it as hey, I'm going to better myself during that time.
Yeah.
What other areas do you struggle with, if any, of like not being home with them and you wanting to go out and do something else for yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. Not many. I know, like for me, like going to work, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Because my schedule's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Now it is.
Yep.
And
well, you built it that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I know that I've got phenomenal home support. Right, Jenna's awesome. We have a phenomenal nanny team like that. So like that's great. So I'm fortunate in that aspect where it's like I can go and get my work done and not have to worry about what's going on.
Yep.
So that's not an issue. Sometimes working out, like going to the gym, but I just make sure I do it when the kids aren't awake. Or I try to. Right? It's like wake up early.
Yep.
Wake up early and get my fitness in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. So I was talking to another guy about that too. Same thing. So for me, it's the hunting, the golf, the working out.
I don't hunt as much as you, so.
Yeah, I hunt a lot. But Sawyer started coming with me a ton this year.
See, that's going to be a game changer.
So I would pick him up from school and be like, Dad, we're going hunting tonight. I'm like, oh, twist my arm. Sure, let's go. Like, all right, let's see if your mom says yes to this one.
That's incredible.
And now the golfing thing too, it is, when Sawyer was first born, I golfed a ton. I played a ton when he was like under a year old.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing for me to really do.
Totally.
Yep.
Yep.
And granted, we had one. It's not like we had another toddler running around. That's totally different.
Yeah.
But when he was under 1, I golfed probably 2 mornings a week.
Yeah.
Because Julie would just get up, she'd pick him up from his crib, change him, throw him in the car, and he would sleep on the way to work where daycare was.
Yeah.
Or where his daycare was.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I was missing much. But then as, he starts to get up, he's getting ready for school, he wants, help get his shoes on and stuff like that. Stuff I didn't want to miss.
Oh, yeah.
So
I get that.
Getting up early in the morning to leave and be gone for that started to feel... Guilty is a bad word because I want to be there.
Yeah.
So I think...
You'd be sad.
Guilt's the right word, but I'm like, I want to be there for those times. And then at 3 o'clock, when he needs to get picked up from school, I want to be there to go get him at 3 o'clock.
Yep.
So like most of my stuff gets done so I had coffee this morning at 9 with someone, and I'll be done by 2:30 so that we can go run to line, pick them up, and we're going to hit sticks to go golfing tonight.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's different now with him wanting to do so many things with
that's
me.
going to be a game changer. We're in different phases of parenthood.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's different with one, too. Like,
sure.
I have 2 older sisters, and my dad would get up and play 9 holes. He wouldn't even get an 18.
Mm-hmm.
First tee time at 5 o'clock in the morning at Kendall Hills, and they'd be done by 6:30, and he'd be home by the time we're all waking up at 7.
Yeah,
like that was his gym time of getting up, doing some me time.
Yep.
But I think it's super important the fact that you still are putting those in place to take care of yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Because if you're not taking care of yourself and you're at home, you're grumpy, and you're just feeling like sluggish and lethargic, and your kid wants to wrestle on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, this becomes a WWE match every night.
Oh, totally. I think that...
And I need the energy for it.
I do a good job. I definitely do a decent job at, like, putting enough time into myself, but also balancing out that, family and business stuff.
Yep.
I feel guilty when Jenna's not able to do that as much, because I know I have a little bit more freedom than her. She still breastfeeds and all that good stuff. So, that maybe part does give me a little bit of guilt at times.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I know that she needs this too.
Yeah.
Like, she needs to be able to go to the gym or hang out with friends. And I encourage it. Like, definitely encourage it. Like, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's hard
to get her to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you listening to that, Jenna? You got to go out and do more stuff.
Working on it.
Yeah. Carl wants to hang out with the kids more.
That's right. You bet.
It's so hard. Like, Julie was the same way too. Like, just leaving, because again, moms have a different guilt than dads do. I think in terms of like their instinct to just be there, nurture, and help all the time.
For sure.
But that's where having 2 on-point parents, like husband and wife, that are on point together. They talk about things, that issues they have, or something with the kids that's like, that didn't go very well tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we not raise our voice at this next time? Or like, keeping each other in check is so important in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had growing up. My parents were, like I said, my parents, I don't think very fought in front of us much at all. I can't remember any parent fights.
Sure. Yeah, same.
But I guarantee that after we were in bed, my mom was like, Tom, that was the stupidest thing you ever did.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, Jenna says it to me. Jenna says it to me all the time, which I take it in as a good criticism. Like, like I said, she's way better than me.
Yep.
So the majority of the time, I'm not telling her how to do things, for sure.
Everyone from the outside has already established that. Carl.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But no, I'm a good learner. Yeah, I can take some criticism.
Yeah,
in that, especially in that department.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, because I know we're coming up to time, I love to keep these here, but the last question I always have, I do always have one question. What does it mean to be a father figure to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
You couldn't have told me.
No, it's got nope. It's got to be real. It's got to be raw. What does it mean to you?
I think it, like, sentence or a word. A sentence or a word.
It can be a paragraph.
I think just for me, it's like provider, support, good team member, good role model. those are all like kind of the cliche things, but it's like just showing up and being there.
Yeah.
So that's what it is for me.
Yeah. So deep down in the heart is just being there for the kids, being that role model, creating a good life for them.
Yeah.
Showing them the hard work.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's probably a big thing that they'll catch on to really quick.
Yeah. It's like if I could, it's like for me, it's providing.
Mm-hmm.
Providing the life that I had growing up, or have growing up.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do that for my kids, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I strive for. It's like that's a super high value of mine is family and freedom. Yeah. Family and freedom are my two core values. So it's being able to, provide value for my family is, my, I would say, definition of father figure.
Love it. Yeah. Love it.
Yep.
Let's do the Yentz high five.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Good job. I appreciate you being out here.
Yep. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah. All right. We're going to tune in. There you are up there. Tune in for the next one. We'll see you guys soon.